Hello and welcome to another episode of the Cultures Podcast with me, James Allen, Theon Viteza, and Michael Wootton. And today we're joined by the fantastic stand-up comedian and Crystal Palace fan, Elliot Steele. Elliot, thank you so much for joining us.
A little shit clap that never.
Shit clap, yeah. It's more claps than I get on stage. That's fucking brilliant. I love that this podcast immediately from like 10 seconds in, I'm already loving it because it's got the vibe of like being in the kitchen at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Just say
you can tell by the backdrops we've all got. It's like one big kitchen.
Someone's
licking a curtains made of, pal.
Someone's licking a bag and going, Adrian Mariappa. And you go, yeah.
That's the entire point of it. As I was just saying in the little preamble we do backstage, one of the first players I ever fell in love with on FIFA, right? Palace player, deep pull from I believe 0203. Cedric Berthelon, goalkeeper. There you go. Played 21 times for Palace.
Was he in the season No, he wasn't in the season we came up, was he?
I think it was in
Gray
the
Churchill's kit.
Yeah, he was in the Churchill. He might have come in halfway through the season on loan and was one of the reasons we got promoted. I might have got that wrong. That's like sort of as my Palace memory starts. Because I was sort of going from about I was 4 or 5, but I don't really remember anything up until the promotion season.
I don't remember. I don't remember him playing myself, but signed him on FIFA 12 or something. I think he was about 41 then. Just a lovely French goalkeeper.
Every man has a player they fell in love with on FIFA, and mine was 2 years ago, FIFA 23. There's a player called Marcel Willems. He's not a real person. I got him on a free 2 seasons into Palace, and we won the Champions League together with Pat. We were doing so well, but then FIFA did that thing where I had a season where I won the Premier League. I think I won the FA Cup and the Champions League, and the board was like, "That's not good enough, so you're fired." Like to sack me.
Of course, there's a glass ceiling at Palace,
so I had to do a season at Arsenal. Yeah. It's not good enough. A season at Arsenal, and then I went to Real Madrid, and I bought Marcel Willems was the first player I bought, and in that season we faced Palace in the final and beat them, and I was screaming as we were scoring against my old club, imagining and I went and clapped the Palace fans in my head, and they were all like, that I'd left. And I did the full 15 seasons. And he got to the age where he went, hey, look, this is like my last season with Madrid. I've had a great career, and I've raised this kid since he's 18. I had this whole storyline in my head that he was a bit of a problem child, but he was dropped out of the academies, but I could get the best out of him. I got him. And then it was his last season. And I remember we did, that was it. We were unbeaten in the league. We won everything. I should have probably put the difficulty up at this point, but I like the winning. And then I thought, he's retiring. And then it came up that my thing that I was retiring as well. I'd done the 15 seasons, and I was like, that's the most beautiful storyline I've had on FIFA, that I've gone up with this kid and we retired together. And I still have it on my PS4 where I'm like, I'm going to give it like 5-6 years, and I'm going to go back and because I've got a save where it's still there, and be like, I'm going to go back and like show like my wife, like, hey, you don't know about Marcel Willems. She's going to be like, who's that? I'm not going to be like, he's not real.
What a story! On my Football Manager at the minute, there's two regens, Dejan Mijanovic and Adem Ferdinand, who are both from the same town in Bosnia, and have ended up at Middlesbrough.
Their parents died in the war, and I had to like ring through a little bit. Their parents were genocided by Serbs, but I got in a sports psychologist to get him to sort that out.
Both end up in Middlesbrough. I don't know what's worse. Genocide.
My last year had the same personality as me. Like when I was on Football Manager, I was like 2-0 down in the cup final, and tried to motivate them, and it just went, your speech had no effect. It's like, great stuff, lads. Lovely stuff. More of the same then.
Because I struggle with Football Manager because I'm not that there was a game called Hearthstone on the phone, which is like, it's basically like Magic the Gathering but on the mobile, and they created an 8-player mode where you face you're all facing each other. You have the same pool of minions and stuff, and I got to like, I think like, now someone might correct me if I'm wrong here. My points were like I was in like the top sort of 15% in the world, like just playing this game all the time. And
not Elon Musk in it, not paying someone to do it.
Oh no. And I got like, my score was high. Like I got a high score, and then they reset the score, and I just stopped. But I was like, one game would take you easily half hour to 45 minutes, and I would sit there and play like 3-4 games in a row. And when I was at the Fringe, that's all I was doing. I was sat in this shit student commons playing that. And so I have a thing with Football Manager where I'm like, I can't do that. Like I can't. It's over if I get into that. That's all I would want to do is that. You know what I mean? Take Preston to the Champions League or something.
I had it the other day where I ended up refired it up after a few years of not playing it, and I ended up waking. I've been late for work countless times, but I woke up early to get half an hour in of pre-season before we played for me.
Do you not get the assistant to do the pre-season friendlies?
My assistant's Roy Keane. Do you think Roy Keane's doing pre-season?
Roy Keane's getting out of bed.
I've got Roy Keane, Duncan Ferguson, Leo Percival, hardest backroom staff of all time. Don't fuck them out in my changing room.
Some Christmas party that all the results start going downhill.
Duncan Ferguson threatening young fans to batter them if they don't pass the GCSE.
Classic. Well, Elliot, was Palace doing very well at the minute. Back in the glory days of Pardew. Glasnow's brought that.
Two consecutive five. We've conceded 10 goals in 2 games.
Other than that.
Well, yeah, there's many peak moments. What would you say is the most peak Palace moment? And that can be of all time.
I would for me the one that sticks in obviously as a non-Palaceman. That's as Vladimir Lenin once said. What sticks in my head is obviously the Pardew dance, which is sadly premature.
I was there for that. That was
think the Liverpool comeback. Dwight Gale.
I was there for that. I was sat right behind the goal, Cristiano.
Wow.
Yeah, I was sat right behind the goal for that. That was incredible, done for the sheer nothingness. Because I love the meme that for some reason Palace really do at the end of the season go, hey, we can't get higher than 12. Each time we play like prime Barcelona for no other reason than to just stop everyone. Because I think what happens is like that Liverpool. It would have been better for football if Gerrard had won the Premier League. Yeah. It would have been better for football, but it's just
very funny that he didn't, though.
It's very funny that he didn't. And I actually love Gerrard as a player, and I think he probably is the best. The sort of him Lampard Scholes debate. I like being a bit hipstery and saying Paul Scholes, but like deep in my heart, it is probably Gerrard who was the better player.
Not Owen Garvin.
Yeah.
I like, but I think winning the playoffs against Watford. I was there when we went down to the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff and beat West Ham. Neil Shipley got the goal.
Oh yeah. Size of him as well when he was playing, but wow, now.
No, it's not great. Because I do like a charity game down there every year, and it's just I only play to like nerd out, and I get to play with like Andy Johnson and Wayne Routledge, and like last year, Andy Johnson like jumped on my back to like stop a tackle, so I tackled Andy Johnson, and then I managed to tackle Andy Johnson. I'm shit at football, let me add. So, and then I was sort of running, and Gary Borrodale, who's a player for us, plays as well, and man, it's like the best thing ever. And I was like to them, like, hey, why doesn't Neil Shipley like play? And they're like, yeah, he's not. They're like, he's not fucking playing. They're like, we can't. Like, it's just going to be sad.
Have you ever met Aki Rihalati?
No, I'd love to meet Aki Riolati. I loved Aki Riolati. He was a fucking. That's a prime Barclaysman right
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Aki Riolati is a proper.
I think he went
Barclaysman.
out in the first round because the streets had forgotten him.
Yeah.
I think did he join Palace in Championship initially, and then come up with you?
No, I think he was part of the Premiership side, but he would have played with us in the Championship. I could be wrong there. I was like 8, 9 years old when my first like heartbreak. Like I remember like footballing, tears in the stand, which I'm not really like anymore. I cried when Puncham scored at Wembley in the FA Cup final. And two later moments in life where I kind of have distanced myself with football was Saka's penalty, Donnarumma saving Saka's penalty.
Oh.
And
I thought you meant Mamadou Sakho. Then I thought, when did he take
that and like because like I always say, like I really want England to win because I'm in a group chat with like a load of Scots and Irish people talk non-stop shit, and I'm never going to see a team win a Premier League or win a Champions League. We might scrape an FA Cup, we might, but even that now I reckon is a bit unlikely. The only time I get to see a major trophy be lifted is with England. That's the only chance I'm ever going to be able to go, oh, that's what supporting a winning team feels like. Like that's what that is. And, I'm in a really fortunate position with supporting Palace that we're in the Premier League. I never want us to go out. I love being in the Premier League because I know when you're in the Championship, how much it sucks, how the standard, like I know people go, oh, it's better football and stuff. But when you're there, like season upon season,
yeah, when you're stuck. Yeah,
it becomes a bit like fucking hell, like we're going to this again. But it was a game when Norwich, we were battling out with Norwich. I think it was 4 or 5 games from the end of the season in the great relegation battle of that 04-05 season, was it?
Yeah.
And so it was out of us, West Brom, Norwich, Southampton, that's it. And Norwich went 3-1 up, like in the space of 10 minutes in the first half. Like it was 1-1 and went 3-1 up. And we actually came back and came back and drew 3-3. But I remember like just crying in the stands going to my dad, I want to go. I don't want to be here. My dad was like, no, you got to stay and watch. Like he's like, you got to stay and watch this.
Character building.
Yeah, and the most mental I ever saw Selhurst Park go was when we went 2-1 up against Southampton. I think we played like them a couple of weeks later. And we ended up drawing 2-2, but we had a player, I want to say Ventola. No,
Nicola Ventola.
Yeah.
Into Milan.
No, I might have made this proposal. I can't remember who the fuck it was. He never played for Palace, but I can't remember who the fuck it was.
Willems again.
No, Ventola played for Palace.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? And he came
when they had the yellow kit with the blue in the middle.
Yeah, he came to us, and he I believe. Look, I might have got this wrong in my memory, but he got injured early on in the season, so we bought this player. He'd got injured, and we were all like, "Oh fuck!"
Yeah, he's a big name as well.
He came on against Southampton, scored, so it's gone 2-1, and the place went fucking mental because it was like, "Oh my god, if we beat them, we're gonna stay up. Like we're the favourites to stay up." And then I think Peter Crouch ended up getting a goal. Because he played for everyone, but that's when he was at Southampton.
Selhurst Park, I must admit, like not just going off this tangent. Every time I look at it, I am very like it does look.
That doesn't sound like a compliment, but James spends more time than you would think looking at Selhurst Park.
It's a shithole.
Is it?
It's an actual shithole. I've sort of sat everywhere there, and I think having a stadium like that and being in the Premier League for how long we've been in the Premier League, it's like, can we not have 1950s turnstiles? But then they did like a modern thing where you have to scan your season ticket. But then there's like this 1950s, 60s turnstile where it like boots, so you go through. And then there's always some old boy going like, what's happening to the fucking game? What's happening? What is it? And then there was a season where there was no season ticket. It was all done through your phone. So they would email you the ticket for the game. But it would never work. So my dad would just be like, what am I meant to do? And I go, no, you've got to forward me the ticket. And everyone was like, you can't do this in football. You've got to remember most of the blokes going to like 50 or 60 been coming in for years.
Doing the dad thing with the glasses at the end of the nose going, forward.
Oh my god, he's just sat there, just going like, "It's got fucking woke." Like they've got the.
I tell you, the last vestige of anti-woke ticketing I've seen was at Huddersfield away. They literally had an old woman on the thing ripping tickets, and there's a
There we
fucking
go.
6 mile long queue. And that day, my mate I went down without a ticket, and my mate let me in. Did the old did a old switcheroo in front of a person.
So I don't know who did this because I now sometimes get very fortunately through my nepotism get a sit with the board. So I don't know who did this, but one season I had a season ticket where there was a seat free next to me all the time, and
Not like that Norwich mental health video where he's
no,
done
no,
his
no,
own
no, no, it wasn't gay. It was, it was, and someone had
there's your
worked.
clip, Mike. That's
Yeah,
going up.
Yeah.
someone had worked out that you could pass a ticket through like one of the many side things, and like the season ticket doesn't go. Oh, it's already come through. So someone could just get their POW in whenever they wanted to. So I thought, yeah, there was, but I don't know who did that. But it was, yeah, I fucking. It's a great ground, but part of it is a Sainsbury's. So I was with comedian Carl Humphreys was staying at mine while I was on tour, and we popped down to that Sainsbury's. And when we went there, he went like, "Is this Selhurst Park?" And I went, "Yeah." He went, "Oh, you can't be having this." So he was like, "What the fuck?" He's like, "The ground's actually a Sainsbury's." I went, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." The family stand or the Korean advertiser stand, it's like the underneath of it is a shop, like a supermarket for people that like everyone gets fucked off in the area when the game's on because it shuts early.
That's funny.
Has it become a bit like kind of romanticized in recent years? Through like, because obviously Ted Lasso's sort of like I don't know, you probably get killed for this, but like it feels like there's definitely obviously it's filmed at Selhurst Park, but it feels like there's Crystal Palace elements amongst Richmond AFC. Have you noticed like an influx in Americans coming over as well?
Yeah, I have like a real issue. This is my thing with football. As someone who's been every kind of prick football fan there can be, and now I'm going to Wembley next week, and I've just said to myself, I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going on my own. I'm going to have a really nice day, and I get to see my team in a semi-final, and I get to go to Wembley. That's the way I now sort of go into these things. And I find like when you go down there, and like when we first came up into the Prem, I've got a mate who's a Millwall fan, and they look like they could get playoffs. I was going to, man, if you come up and stay up, like everything that you know of Millwall and the Den and all of this, it will be stamped out. Like our rivalry against Brighton, which used to be fierce in the Championship, you couldn't move through Croydon. It was police helicopters. The Brighton fans have met at East Croydon. They're taken on the train to Norwood Junction. They are marched in. They are marched out. No one can go anywhere. That now, I've walked down to that game, and I live 5 minutes from the ground. It isn't like that anymore. You don't have that, which in some ways it's a better thing. But I think when there's that sort of influx of tourism and stuff, it's like when Liverpool fans start moaning like, "Oh, look, all the tourists who come to the ground." It's like, yeah, and that's why you can buy 50,
Yeah,
60
yeah.
million pound players because you're a huge, renowned. That's the price you pay. It's a little bit less atmosphere, but you've got Mo Salah. That's the deal. And there is a bit of that when we had Chong Yong Lee. We had this Korean player, and we bought it. He kind of only ever he scored an amazing goal against Stoke once. That's all anyone he ever really did for us. But he came and joined us, and in 1 week there was just loads of Koreans there, Koreans all over, and everyone was like, "What the fuck?" And he was just on the bench. All he did, and it was like you go, "Oh yeah." People, because Morden, which is quite close by, has a huge Korean population. They go, "Oh my god, a Korean player is in the Premier League."
Yeah,
So they all, that's why Son is probably one of the most valuable players.
Yeah.
Because of what he's worth in Asia, the amount of shirts that they sell to make Tottenham a huge recognised brand. So you do notice that wasn't we didn't get Akira Lati and loads of Icelandic. As he finished,
sold some hair
bleach. Finished, weren't he? He ended up playing in Iceland. and loads of Finnish people start turning up. That wasn't sort of that era.
Sauna sales through the roof in Croydon.
Who's the most random player you've seen turn up in a Palace shirt?
Yeah, Davies.
No, man.
There you go.
Yeah, Edgar Davids came on. Everyone like FIFA 2004 cover player. He's coming down to Palace. He came on, got a yellow card, got taken off. We never saw him again. I think he just stopped turning up. But it was sort of that time in the Championship where deals were. I don't know. There would have been some money, some gambling debt was clearly being paid off. Like like when you hear sort of like about Tino Aspiraya or someone like that, and they're always I think there was a bit of that going on.
He ended up at Barnet as well, didn't he?
He did go Barnet, yeah.
Player manager.
There's always that sort of Edgar Davids. We were linked with Mario Balotelli a few years ago, and everyone
Balotelli and Saka are being United.
Everyone held their breath and went, "Please don't let this go through." Everyone went like, "No, not Balotelli."
Fireworks in the dressing room.
Literally. Yeah, him and Pardew together would be a fucking nightmare.
It'd be extremely Barclays, though. You do have to say that.
Yeah.
It would be very Barclays, but Pardew is one of those managers that he's great for a season. And then I think he sold Glenn Murray back to Brighton. And Glenn Murray had been brilliant for us. He's one of the best strikers I've seen there in terms of just positional play. He just understood where to be, which is, the hardest thing for a striker to do. And he sold him, and what I've heard is because it was like he was a bit bigger in the dressing room than Pardew, and Pardew didn't like that. So he got rid of him, not on the basis of he wasn't good enough, but on like, he can lead a revolt against me. And but Pardew also brought in Cabai, which is probably one of the best midfielders I've ever seen there. He was brilliant. The best player I've ever seen down there is still Zaha. And any Palace player, Palace fans.
Are you a fan of Julian Gray?
Oh, I love Julian Gray.
He was the Zaha before Zaha, really, wasn't he?
Yeah. Wayne Routledge probably was a little bit more Zaha before Zaha. We all knew Routledge was going to go if we went down that season. He was just above everyone else. But Zaha was... Zaha kept us up with a subpar thing for several seasons.
Oh, yeah. He's like... I think he was like Alan Shearer in a way when Newcastle were mid-table. It's like you think of how good Shearer must have been to score 260 in a team that finished 12th every season.
Oh, absolutely.
Zaha was I don't think there's not many players you can say that about now, really.
And he never really wanted to play for us. That was the interesting...
He never really even got a chance to prove himself at United either, did he, as well? So it was a bit unfair.
Moyes season, wasn't it?
Yeah, apparently the daughter rumours.
Well, Patrice Evra just kind of confirmed that one day.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. Do you remember there was that time where Patrice Evra was a pundit? And every week, Patrice Evra's like, I'd always explain it. He'd go on like Monday Night Football. And he'd be like a best man at a wedding who starts telling a story from the stag do that was met during the best man speech. And then he's like, and then you should have seen him. You should have seen him over there fucking up to his nuts in brasses. This one, and they're like, what are you doing? Like, this isn't meant to be out here. And then he came out and he was like, when he was at United, he didn't get a chance to prove himself because he was having an affair with Moyes' daughter. And then I think it was like Alex Scott had to step in and be like, these are, rumours. He went, yeah. But they had to like step in. I think with Zaha, we wanted like 70 or 80 million for him. There was a 20% sell-on clause. So if we sold him for 60, we'd have only got like 48. The other thing, I think he was on like 170, 200k a week. So a club would go, we'll pay 70 million for him, but we're not paying 200. We can't pay 70 million and 200k a week. So it was his you know, it was his fees, and I kind of wish he'd maybe left a bit sooner. I'd have liked to have seen him really win something because I think I'd have loved it. I would sort of kind of what I hope for Elise now, though. Crystal Palace in the legacy of Michael Elise. I think Michael Elise himself will probably forget he's played for Crystal Palace. He did not seem that bothered at all. He won. I think he won Player of the Season one year. Just walked up and went, "Yeah, thanks." And just walked off. Everyone was at box park expecting a big cheer. Yeah, cheers. And just walked off on that one. And so we were like, "I don't really think he gives a shit about playing for the club."
Was it is it Galatasaray off Fenerbahce of Zaha's at?
Galatasaray.
Yeah, Galatasaray got him, and I think he started well, and then I think, you know, in the Turkish league, if you're seen as underperforming, the fans of, you know, of Galatasaray, they can't even you can't even go out for dinner. Like they apparently that's what I've heard. Like if you know, if you even go to like a concert or something and people see you, they're like, "How dare you be here? You should be training."
Yeah.
But now he's in America now, isn't he?
Now he's on the throne at Charlotte FC.
Yeah, the throne. Yeah.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah, so I quite like that. I like that the American League is kind of trying to do its own thing with it and Americanize it a little bit. I think that's what they need to do over there. Because I think football is really not an American sport. It's very hard. You know, it's like that argument where Americans go, but if we wanted to, we could win a World Cup. Like you look at the size of our NFL players and you go, yeah, but the best footballers have never been 6'9".
Yeah.
They've never been. It's Xavi and Iniesta and Messi. It's these kind of players who, you know, yeah, you do have like Sergio Busquets and players like that who are in the team, but the cardio is so different, and the ball control. You have to be able to do so much. Whereas in the NFL, you can, you know, if you're stopping someone running, that is your job. You have to be able to sprint quickly and tackle something. I'm not saying it's not an easy thing to do. Whereas in football, you have to be able to do like everything to be good at it, especially in the World Cup.
And do it quickly as well.
Yeah. Well, speaking of things done quickly at the World Cup and Palace, Gary Lineker and Jason Punchin going for shits quickly as well. They can do that very.
Oh yeah, punching. But I think that was at Southampton.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah,
we like to claim that, but it happened at Southampton. I don't know why Gary Lineker ever told that story.
Yeah, as if people would go, what a cool guy.
Yeah. I don't know what to make of Gary Lineker. Like, I like him, but then I also do sometimes think, like, all right, man, like, do you know what I mean?
I think that's an age thing, because like you have to be probably an era older than yourselves to actually realise that he actually was a fucking good footballer. Do you know what I mean? And then so people who didn't get to see that forget it and just see this weird brummy-ish.
Yeah, but he also funds a podcast with 2 war criminals on it. So fuck him.
Guys, yeah, I've got a soft spot for that war criminal.
Yin yang. Like
I've got a soft spot for him. I had a fun night out with his daughter in the Fringe. She was a good laugh, and it turns out that's if I went out with Slobodan Milosevic's daughter and she brought around, I'd forgive him as well. That turns out all it takes for me to forgive war criminals.
Oh, that's funny.
You bought a shot, but you know what? Yeah, those crow
Slobodan. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Also, yeah. You know, Saddam was saying, yeah, awful, but his family tipped generously. They tipped generously. I respect that.
I remember watching an Adam Curtis documentary about it was something about Saddam Hussein's son. It might not have been Adam Curtis, but anyway, sort of about the sons anyway. And it showed this thing of like the bedroom table or something, and it just had like about 6 kilos of coke in it. And I was like, ooh.
Really?
That looks Moorish.
That would be some fucking night if you went. You know, I was doing blow with like Uday Hussein. I was out there. We went and like shot up a wedding. It's fucking crazy, man. We went down. We went down.
How compromised would my morals be for a bit of Uday Hussein's fucking?
Get us another Baghdad.
Yeah, that's lovely. That's
Hey.
lovely. You're just there. Yeah, we got fucked up. Yeah, we did like torture some Sunnis, and then we called another bag. It was fucked up, man. Like it was fucked up. Like it was a good night.
Oh dear.
4 a.m. chat with Mrs.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh my god.
We should start putting them out at 4 a.m. on the Sunday and just see if we can see them.
Yeah. Dictators, man.
Just for the guys sat at home doing it themselves. Just sack a bag.
One of the most shameful sessions I'd been in was just me and some pals sat up and we had these YouTube videos on where it was like a quiz and it would just come up with like the teams that they played for and you had to guess. And I got Conor Gallagher and one of the boys just went, "Fucking shout, mate," who I just met that night. And I went, "Yeah, bruv, we got a connection." And then like in the cab home, I was like, "What the fuck was all that for? Like, what?"
No better experience than just. I remember just a few times. What was it? I remember talking about the 2010 Ghana squad with a lad I've met. That was a fucking good chat. That was. Do you remember Richard Kingston? He played for Blackpool.
I do love AFCON is one of the great tournaments to come on where you go. It is brilliant because like. But when Jay Barton's coming out, saying it was like teams like Senegal, Ghana, they're good sides. You wouldn't be surprised to see them in a quarter final of a World Cup. They'll definitely get round to 16. And then, but it's funny when you do have like Central African Republic coming into it as well, and you just go, "What a fucking tournament this is!"
Yeah.
Stuff like start betting on it, and you're like, "Oh, what's happening?" They go like, "Oh yeah, well here's this country like." There has been a famine in the last year, so we really have to scrape together. We really have to scrape together a team for the tournament.
It's on this year. This year's AFCON is on at Christmas. There's a good game. Burkina Faso play on Christmas Eve. That's gonna determine my Christmas.
Imagine that. I'm down 400 quid on Cape Verde. Oh, fuck.
Come home at 7 a.m. on Christmas morning. Burkina Faso won 2-0.
How many gambling addicts' kids' Christmas are going to be fucking determined by how well.
There's going to be houses at full watching the game at 2 a.m. Christmas morning.
Reason for divorce, Comoros.
Well, it did used to like there was a time where we had like I think like Zaha, and they would leave to go play, and it would just fuck you at some point in the season. So you'd go, "Oh fuck, AFCON's coming up. We're losing the
team."
Yeah, we're just we're fucked. But now, yeah, it's I think it's. I love the game where the ref blew the whistle in the 85th minute, and then like they had to go. No, there's another 5 minutes, and he went, "Oh, is there?" And so just like carried on. But it's crazy that like people like Barton and stuff are coming out like slagging it off as a tournament. You're like, this is fucking. I think Coast have produced some insanely good players. Yeah. I still think the best player I ever saw live was Yaya Toure. He came down Selhurst one year. I mean, I still talk to my mate's dad about it. Everyone clapped him off. He was like the best player I've ever seen live. Like I remember he made a tackle in his box and they just shot up the pitch and scored. And it was him scoring, and everyone went. It wasn't like it was like a proper. You have to watch football to enjoy how good a goal it was.
Yeah.
When you go, oh, that's just, and then they won the league that season. He was just, he's the best I've ever seen live. And one night, I was in a bar again with Kai Humphries. I was out with a girl scene at the time, and there was a few other lads. And these other lads got in a quite heated discussion, making the girl I was with feel quite uncomfortable. And we were watching I think we were watching the 6-0 when City, they had it playing in this bar when City beat United 6-0, which Yaya Toure played in. And I was just going in, Yaya Toure, what a player. And she was like tapping, she was doing everything but asking for Angela at the bar. And I'm there going like, yeah, hold on a second. I mean, he was just phenomenal, wasn't he? He was just unbelievable. Like, the way.
It was AFCON, of course, where legendary Barclaysman Andre Biquet got sent off for assaulting a stretcher bearer. In a quarter-final, I think, as well, a semi-final.
Oh. I do sometimes think, what are the great moments that I'm yet to live through of like your Kung Fu Cantonar, your what moment of am I?
Oh, against Palace, as a Palace fan, obviously.
It was against Palace, yeah. It's quite it's a bit of a murky story, that one, because everyone remembers it well. But like United, I think United players like beat a Palace player to death like a year later. It's quite a lot, and it's never really spoke about. Where it's a bit like, yeah, there was like a murder, like but it's also it's that thing of when it's I don't, it sounds weird. I'm talking about murder. Like, when it's your team, you take it like, well, no, it's like everything in football. Like I watched Sacco one night. Mamadou Sakho do a tackle on someone from Bournemouth, got sent off, and it's right in front of me, and I went, "It's fucking ridiculous. It's never a red card. That's fucked us for this season. It's fucked the next few games." And then at half time on the TV, not only it was the clearest of red cards, like a genuine assault on a player, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I just think it because it's against my team."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, that's fucking." So if Cantona had kicked someone from any other team, I'd go, "What a moment!" But when it's your team, you're like, "Well, it's just should we really be encouraging violence? Have we learned nothing from adolescence? Is it going to chat with our boys?"
I actually remember that happening on radio.
Oh,
yeah, I'm that old. But
that's what that is. No, you can't get a bowl of cornies at half time. Unfortunately, in those grounds.
One of our players, I think it was, I can't remember who it was, did an interview in the half time, like in the Palace programme. They'd do like, "What are your favourite footballing moments?" And he said, "Oh, when," and one of the things he'd written in it, and I was reading it. I went to my dad, "He just said this," and he went, "It was when Cantona came back from his ban and scored a penalty, and it was like Cantona's back." And I went, "Yeah, the ban he came back from was from kicking a fucking Palace player, from kicking a Palace fan in the head." And you've gone in the Palace match day programme and gone, "What a moment when he came back from that, eh?" When he... And there was the famous Damien Delaney saying if he could have any dinner guests, it'd be Genghis Khan, Joseph Stalin, and then Keith Richards. in his like favourite dinner guest. And Damien Delaney's like quite a switched on bloke. He's like I'm pretty sure he's quite a like left leaning, very like I'd sort of say like wouldn't say socialist, but he's up there sort of footballer, and he's got quite an interesting guy as well as a player, I think. And he's one of my favourite ever Palace players because he was not really meant to ever be in the Premier League, but when he got to the Premier League, he sort of earned his place. Like he's a bit of a Barclaysman in my mind. Like just just a fucking hard bastard, like Mile Jedinak. Although Mile Jedinak was quite a talented footballer. He was actually, he could take a free kick and stuff. He was quite, but he was just fucking nails. We had a season where we just had some nails players.
All the tends to be Palace's usually only white players. Both the midfielders of
yeah.
Jedinak and Milivojevic are disgustingly biased at Barclays. Yeah,
Milivojevic, it was quite sad what happened to him in the end. He sort of dropped off a little bit. I think when we started trying to play expansive football, the use of like your Jedinaks and your Milivojevic started. Because I think this about teams that come up. I think it when like Burnley did it. I think it like Southampton this season. Teams come up and go, "We're going to play the 3-4-3 expansive game," and you go, "No, just have a couple hard cunts."
Yeah.
They've just got to go in and kick Kai Havertz. That's what they do, and then Kai Havertz is, and then you start and you grind out a 0-0 or a 1-0, and that's what we used to do. I mean, actually, to be fair, under Tony Pulis, when in that first season after we actually played some really nice football. We had and everyone thinks Zaha was in that team, and he wasn't. He was at United. It was Ince. It was Thomas Ince.
Oh yeah.
It was Thomas Ince and Yannick Bolasie.
Bolasie, what a player!
One of my favourite ever. Well, probably my favourite ever Palace player, but he was capable of an absolute dog shit as well. Which
he played for Bournemouth. I experienced that. As well as Borough, actually, Warnock and Pulis.
Yeah.
But I remember it popped into my head a minute ago. It's just a beautiful story of Butterfield appearing to Warnock in a dream, the right back.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I was at that game. It was against
Yeah.
Wolverhampton. It was in a at the time the Carling Cup. I think it was a League Cup.
What was that like in your head when you go? Hang on, we've got a right back starting up front. What was the?
I see. I remember it as he was playing at right back, but he started pushing up the field and got the goals. And then the next week we played him up front, and it was fucking disaster. So he scored this hat trick, perfect hat trick.
Yeah.
I think the only perfect hat trick I've ever seen at Palace, like ever.
Must be, yeah, because they're very rare, rocking horse shite, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah. I was trying to fit. We're not known for our hat tricks at Palace. But yeah, the Warnock era. We had that time of it's like when we sort of brought Hodgson back and things like that, when it was all a bit like, oh no, this looks like a huge step backwards. The worst was the Frank de Boer.
4 games.
Yeah, lost 3-0 opening day to Huddersfield because he was trying to play. He was playing 3-4-3 expansive football with Joel Ward as the right back. And Joel Ward's a good footballer. Joel Ward is good.
Played over 300 games for Palace, hasn't he?
He was brilliant.
And
But
he walked the entire length of the Wall of China with Limboy Primus once.
What?
Yeah, it's on Limboy Primus's Wikipedia that him and Joel Ward walked the length.
The Christian mission, wasn't it?
He's a devout Christian. He's like really, there's another player we used to have who I loved called Joe Ledley. From Celtic. And he was brilliant, but he kind of got fucked over. And I met him one time. He was really nice. And,
what happened to him? Like,
we got Cabai, and I think Ledley was a really good footballer who just under Pardew wasn't going to get into the team and started coming on as a sub. And I think it was a bit frustrating for him. And he was also part of the great Wales squad.
Yeah, I was going to say he was in the Wales squad. He was at Palace, and then all of a sudden he just dropped up when he left Palace. I know he was getting on, but he wasn't at the end, and then he didn't really.
We had three players in that Wales squad who sort of had an effect. Johnny Williams, I'm sure, was in it.
Yeah, well,
who was loved at Palace. Joe Ledley.
Gillingham now.
And Hennessy, who famously did the Nazi salute.
Yeah.
Which I still stand by.
Waiter just over there.
I still stand by. I think his excuse should have been like, "Oh, I was having a laugh. I didn't know we were going to use that photo."
Yeah,
and not come out and go like, "Oh yeah, it was like a bit of banter with the lads." I thought, which you'd go like, "All right." I mean, is a Nazi? You could have is a Nazi salute banter. You'd go, "Well, no, it depends how everyone there knows it. Was anyone there offended by it? Then who gives a fuck?"
No, well, to be fair though, for anyone who came to the live show, we apologise again. But as a great Elon Musk pun availed itself, I made it, and then proceeded to Zeke Heil as a joke. I've got communist tattoos. I can do that. And then there's nothing quite like Zeke Heiling and dying on your ass.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've ruined a couple photos with ones that I'm sure my agent will have a field day when he doesn't know about that when they'll come out. And I have so many things as I start to do better in stand up. I go, there's that story. Did you go on a podcast and say that that an African team who has to play football while having a famine on a thing? Oh yeah. I thought it was fun.
I think those things will end up being like forgivable in time. For me, it's my early stand-up clips where I'm sort of making a really pithy observation about witness that's going to prevent me from getting a job in like retail in 10 years' time. We're not going to hire you because like you did something offensive. It's because that observation you made about people going to the gym at New Year was shite. Speaking of Germans, anyway, Max Meyer, I remember being like, this lad is meant to be.
What a segue!
He was. I mean, he couldn't adapt to the physicality of the Prem.
Yeah, I remember him being like rated. Like I had him on FIFA and everything. He was this lad's going to be mustard, and then he just went up, like ran off the face of the earth.
Yeah. Speaking of mustard,
Nick Muller.
Guess you're hungry. Do you remember Sandor Torgelli?
What
a player! 12 games, no goals. You had 2 Hungarians in your side of that season. Do you remember both of them?
50-50.
Kirai, yeah.
Right, Karali is my.
And who was the fellow who scored that? He scored a worldie at Anfield.
Oh,
I was there. I think was that in
Was it
04,
Kolka?
05?
Kolka. Louis
yeah.
Kolka.
I would have been there. I went to that game where we lost 3-1. Milan Baros absolutely rinsed us.
It might have been a worldie against somebody else.
We cut you off on Kirai there, Elliot. Sorry.
No, he was my first love, like my first footballing. I got the goal. I was a goalkeeper. I got the goalkeeper kit. I loved Gabor Kiraly, and because I was only in the Premier League for one season, which I kind of missed out on the heyday of like when people talk about Henri and Bergkamp. I kind of have no even though that's when most people my age were coming switched on to football. I kind of have no recollection of it because I was going to watch Palace Coventry.
Yeah.
Like, I was watching that. So when people go, "Oh, do you remember how good like Ashley Cole was?" I go, well, "Not really, no." Like because but Gabor Kiraly was fucking sensational, and he came in at the same time as Julian Speroni. And in our first game that season, we played against Everton, and Everton beat us 2-0, and Speroni had made the mistake. So Speroni got sidelined to Kiraly for a few years, and then Speroni is now the Palace hero. He is like the definitive. He is loved down there more, sort of as much as Zaha or anyone. But yeah, I love, and he'd go out in his trackies, and he'll just start going up to the halfway line and doing gymnastics.
Yeah, great, wasn't he?
And everyone, it was like, it's just fucking mental. He's actually who I've got as my goalkeeper for my Barclays, man.
Excellent. If I remember, he wasn't allowed to wear the trackies at first, was he? He had to campaign to be able to wear them. The first couple of games.
He just started going out in them, and then
he had to go out in shorts at first, and then he just
he ended up. It was quite sad. He ended up falling out with the club a little bit. And in that game I play in every year, there was talk of him coming and playing in one, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'd get him in Gabor Kiraly," which, like, when I was trying to explain to the girlfriend I had at the time that Gabor Kiraly might be coming down, and it's
Toure, Gabor Kiraly, she gets entertained.
Oh my god, I would love because the stories I've heard of Yaya Toure, I knew someone who was playing in the Soccer Aid that Yaya Toure was like.
Yeah, there's some. Yeah.
And he was telling me about like he just came in the group chat, and like they're like the group. There's this big group chat, and everyone's having a bit of banter, and he's like, it's more the players are having banter because they all know each other, and so he was a bit like not putting anything in there. And then Yaya Toure came in like a day later and just started posting pictures of like mice in dresses, and like like just random mad shit. And then he was like, "Yeah, he was fucking mental." Started asking if people wanted to get brasses and stuff. And like, the fuck, Yaya. Well, he could do what he wants, Yaya Toure. Yaya Toure could do no wrong in my eyes.
That's so funny. A mice in a dress from Yaya Toure. Yeah. Fuck me. But as you said, I don't know how to segue from that. I don't think it's possible. But was Gabor Kiraly the Barclays win or your Palace 11? Or we'll go for the.
I did my Palace 5-a-side.
Yeah, we'll do your Palace 5-a-side, mate. Go on.
My Palace 5-a-side. Now, I've actually might be a bit. Let me get my notes up here. I've gone a bit left field with my goalkeeper here because I decided.
Not as left field as Cedric Bettenel. No, so
I went with Steve Mandana in goal.
Oh
yeah,
I had Mandana, and he came down, and he was amazing. And then he just decided he didn't want to play for us after like 10 games.
Back, yeah.
So he just said no. So I got him in goal. Damien Delaney is centre back because I think if you turn up to 5s and there's just some big hard Northern Irish bastard who's going to just smash you against the cage, that's exactly what you want. I've gone Johan Cabaye.
Oh, solid.
He will run it. Elise, and of course Zaha as well.
That's very. I don't think we'll have another one who've actually played together before with a team. So
yeah, that's it.
I don't actually know one which would dominate a league that have been picked before as well. So
I would be like, that is an amazing. I think Elise is probably like the best 5-a-side player. Elise are like the dream.
Are you coach or sub?
I'm a player manager.
Subbing on.
Yeah,
if FIFA Street was around now, at least and Saha would be, you know.
Yeah.
Poster boys.
They are. They, Elise is. I really hope I really hope he wins big. Like, it'd be cool to have a Palace player who does that. There's someone we could say we had who's done that. That's just sort of the most we can hope for, really. But my Barclays team, I've got a few left field choices on this.
We like left field, lad. We like left field.
So goalkeeper, I've gone Gabor Kiraly.
Superb.
Just again, I've covered him. My favourite, one of my first love in football at the time of Henri and everyone having that on their shirt or Ronaldo. I had Kiraly.
Exactly what we're loving it.
Yeah.
I don't know how long he played in the Premier League, but it wasn't long. But I think it's just because of the trackage was just
iconic.
Victor Moses.
Yes, please.
Victor Moses.
Remember Cardiff?
My favourite thing about Victor Moses is he ended up on an advert with Ronaldo. Yeah, was it Ronaldo? It was Ronaldo and I think Messi.
Yes.
And then they had Victor Moses. And I remember being like, fucking goodness, Victor Moses is agent. He's on a Samsung advert with Ronaldo, Messi, and the left back. But it's because he'd I think he might have even captained Nigeria to the AFCON win. So, when you've got all these people saying that AFCON is this, nothing, it's not that big. It's fucking massive. Like, Victor Moses, that's Palace's first ever international cup, was because of Victor Moses. Now, I've gone Nathaniel Klein, and I'm going to explain that a bit later.
Okay.
I hate Nathaniel Klein.
right.
Nathaniel Klein once tried to chat up a girl. And I wasn't with her at the time, but he once tried to chat up a girl I was seeing in a nightclub. So whenever he gets subbed on, I boo. And despite he's given a lot for the club.
Happened to my cousin, actually, a very similar story. I was talking about my love for Hayden Hackney, a Borough player, and apparently he stole a woman from my cousin.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, that'll do it. He put his Instagram into her phone, and she didn't really look. And then later on, she looked and was like, "Oh, he's like this massive footballer," but she had no idea. And they were singing Drake together in a club in Chelsea. Which it really says a lot about her self-esteem that she went from that to me, and
it's an improvement. I know. I knew I'd rather have it right back.
It's an incline.
And in the bedroom.
Leighton Baines.
Oh yes, solid.
I love Leighton Baines, mainly because I had him on the Ultimate Team. And he would always ping in a great corner for me that Gerrard would get on the end of. So I'd die. No, this is because of I bought this player from Madrid on FIFA. My favourite FIFA was FIFA 2005.
Yes,
very solid show.
Palace were in the Premier League, but you couldn't start in the Premier League. It's the only FIFA they've ever done it. You had to go to a lower league. So I have this love for Hibs because I'd always start with Hibs, do a season with Hibs, and then take over Palace the next season. And I loved this team. I would have like Henri playing for Palace, all these people. But I got Morientes from Real Madrid, who then ended up going to Liverpool.
Mm.
And I remember being like, so I just have this pure fucking love for that player. I'm still not really sure where he plays. But I had him on FIFA.
Morientes and Baines there, for me, is two of the last footballers I remember that look like they could be in an indie band.
Yeah.
Well. Yes.
Strokes vibes from Morientes.
Van der Vaart.
Oh, solid. I think we discussed this once, James. Because the name's too long. Do you know what I mean? On the shirt, because the name
the arc.
Yeah, has to bend round.
Yeah, I thought Van der Vaart for Spurs was absolutely wonderful. Just
superb.
Proper.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to have had this person, JJ Okocha.
Oh, of course, yeah.
JJ Okocha. I remember when we first used to go play football in the park and like the Palace, the sort of like thing would come down to our school and teach us, and they'll be telling us to like look at a Kocher and stuff like that, which was no use to a bunch of 6-year-olds. And Duncan Ferguson.
Solid.
Wow.
Wow.
Now, my dream here is Klein starts misbehaving at the Christmas do. It's a bit leery to Duncan Ferguson, and Ferguson chins him, and Klein's out for the rest of the season.
You've included him yourself. You've included him purely to get battered.
To get battered.
Yeah. And then he gets shipped off to Rangers. That's my
Nathaniel Dickline.
yes. Fuck yeah.
No.
The problem is, I'm probably going to meet Nathaniel Klein at some point. I bet he's absolutely lovely, but
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be tuning in.
He'll have no fury like a retrospective boyfriend. A retrospective jealousy. Loire.
Oh,
Yes.
So good they banned his celebration for being too dangerous.
They did, yeah.
What was his celebration?
He used to do a backflip.
Oh.
Many backflips.
Yeah.
And then again, I had this player on FIFA 05. I remember saying to my dad, "You got to look this guy up." And my dad went, "Hasn't he just been banned for doing heroin?" Adrian Mutu. Who's still in debt to Chelsea. I think he owes them.
Yeah, he owes them like 30 million quid.
Yeah. He's in like massive debt to Chelsea.
It's one of them things, isn't it? It's like when you've got a debt that big, it's sort of like a
yeah.
But is it?
I can't
£8 a week.
I can't pay this. £30 million.
Got claims companies ringing him up every day. Just ignore that. Never heard of him. Chelsea.
We spoke about this game earlier, but I went up to Anfield to watch Barros just absolutely smash past us. I thought he was wonderful for Liverpool.
Yeah.
I always think Liverpool have produced like that. You know, I do love Liverpool as some of the players they produce are just wonderful. But I've always loved like I was such a Mane fan and players like that. And I was stunned when they sold Ronaldo. I thought he was fucking one of my favourite players of the last few years. Ronaldo.
I had a similar thing with Palace where like a mutual affection where like I'm gutted when Martin Kelly left Liverpool. I was gutted. Like he wasn't great for us, but I thought,
he's apparently really sound. I had a mate knew him and was like, he would like turn up at the pub and just buy a few drinks, and he was cool. He was just like a bit of a lad. He was trying. Yeah, he started playing centre back at a point, and he was a right back, and I think he just couldn't get in ahead of Joel Ward, which Ward was just a bit more solid, but he was brilliant, Martin Kelly. Yeah,
but I found out the interesting anecdote of Martin Kelly. I found out the Paris attacks were happening because my dad said, "Have you seen Martin Kelly's in the Paris attack?" What
for ISIS?
And he was in Paris in a restaurant, wasn't he, or something?
Oh Christ!
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say, Martin Kelly helped shoot up Charlie Hebdo. Martin Kelly was involved in the Bataclan attack.
Yeah, I think it was. I'd been working. I think it was the next morning. I got a text. You did text off it, a proper dar text. You see that Martin Kelly's been in the Paris? What's going on here?
There was a tweet that made me laugh so much the other night where someone texted their dad and went, "See, Arsenal are 3 up against Madrid," and he went like, "I'm watching Coventry."
Oh, yeah.
It was like my dad, a football purist. I'd have no. Where do you stand on the Champions League? Where do you stand on supporting English teams in the Champions League?
No,
I was rooting for Villa the other night.
Yeah, for teams like Villa, but that's
different.
detrimental, isn't it, to say, for teams like Villa? But like, I don't know.
No,
I don't personally.
Usually, you should. For my perspective is if it's United, Chelsea, I want them all to suffer.
But United suffering is now.
Now it's a bit passe.
Funny. Yeah. It's not really funny anymore. It's just what it is.
United. Like I've said this to like Jamie and Hutchinson and plenty of other United mates, like who used to whinge endlessly about we're so shit finishing 7th. Now I say like now I'll allow you to say that now.
It's like how they
you
hark
actually
back
have.
to the days of McTominay and Fred. Like,
Yeah.
but when McTominay and Fred were there, they were McCollum and McFred. They were ridiculing him, but they were in 6th, 7th place. They wanted to go, and like they didn't. If they'd have stuck with what they were doing, they could have built on that. But
I think for clubs who haven't like been in it for a while, or it's like the first time, then yeah, it is lovely to catch. Like when Wigan went in the Europa League, and I said this before, when I went to Slovenia on holiday, in the Maribor club shop, they've got a big like poster of Wigan playing them. And, like stuff like that's amazing, I think. And like Birmingham City when
so Millwall were there one year, weren't they, after the FA Cup?
So like stories like that are quite. But yeah, I could never.
Ironic, considering they all voted leave.
Yeah.
Millwall in Europe.
I always
no.
every now and then I have a soft spot for Millwall because a few of my mates support. I go, it would be good if they came up to the Prem. It's the Den's like such an iconic ground. I go past it when I go into London all the time. It's great, and then they did come down and kick. That I was there for when Mateta got it was right in front of me. Mateta got kicked in the head, and I don't really cheer players getting injured. I'm like, that's just some dude. He's like 25. like that's not, there's just some guy who's now out cold, or someone who's like ACL's been torn and they're out for a year and that's their dream, and they're now thinking, "Fuck, am I ever going to be?" It's fuck you. And I'm like,
I saw a guy reply to us the other day who had the boot in Mateta's face as his profile picture. Wow, certainly a choice.
Yeah, phenomenal.
You're really saying something about your political affiliation there. But and then after that game, I was like, I don't want to come into the Prem. They do revel in
misery.
The dark arts of it and being just horrible. But I like saying that I support Real Madrid. Because my mates take the piss out of Palace when I was a kid. They would just take the piss because we were in the Championship. So I was like, all right, well, if you're choosing United, I'm choosing Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Like, if that's how it works. Like, no, my team's the best team ever. So there we go. So I sort of like half follow Madrid, and I like really use that term loosely. I hate Arsenal more than anything in the world. I loathe Arsenal because growing up in London, everyone supported Arsenal, and just there's a comedian called Ryan Cullen, who is hands down the worst football fan I've ever met. The worst, the most opinionated. No, whenever I watch a game with him, I go, "Why do you watch it? You don't enjoy football."
Yeah,
and he watches anyone, and they're shit, they're wank, they're fucking. And you're like, you're a professional athlete playing against a professional athlete. They're not going to do everything correct.
Like a P&L Pesci kind of guy. Like somebody replies with peas.
Yeah. He's got better banter. He's got better banter than that, fortunately. But he'll just. But he's like we had this massive argument where he was saying Nicolas Pepe was better than Zaha, and I was going, he's not. I'm like, he's not. And then like Pepe's like just decline in football, which I cheered. I cheered so much. And I'm sure Nicolas Pepe is a lovely man, and I wish him all the best. But for those years, I just loved. I would just say, hey, well, you think he's better than Zaha? And just the bias of Arsenal fans.
Yeah, they'll argue till they're blue in the face that anything that ever happens is the best thing that's ever happened, and that's the one frustration.
Yeah, no,
fair play to them. We're unbiased here at Cultures.
I think Thierry Henry is an iconic footballer. Like he was amazing. You could argue Aguero was better. You could argue you could argue there's players who are
you put Salah's numbers up against Henry, and I think he's just knocking his records.
I think Henry's better than Henry's a bad example. I think Henry's too good. But I know what you mean.
But you know, you could bring in. This is the thing that everyone does in football.
It's why it's objective. You can. Yeah.
Well, obviously, as an Irishman, I hate Thierry Henry anyway because he's living my dreams.
Well, this guy, he's Irish and he supports Arsenal. They're a military football team.
Yeah.
That gun on the emblem was used to fire at Ireland at some point, the Woolwich Arsenal. And then I'm like, you can't be like, up the Ra, but also up the Arsenal. Like you can't have it. You can't have it where you support. They're like the military football team, but they are. Look, they are, I guess, the London club. Like you do have to give it to. They are when you think of London, you think of Arsenal. That is, it is symbiotic with it. But I just can't stand the level of entitlement. And if they won the Champions League this year,
Yeah.
I'd be
cheering on the state of Qatar against. That's
I
what
would.
I'll be doing.
100%. I hope the Qataris win against that. I cannot stomach. I'd cheer on Al Qaeda against them. Since 9/11.
Just practice shots with Slobodan,
innit? I'm a very fickle man.
I think that's because they're like
genocideman 11, Jihadi John, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, Radovan Karadzic.
Back in the day, you had your Mugabe's, you had these, and they were good at the They were good.
Who remembers proper Al Qaeda?
Hey, get Paul Potter up and down the touchline. Bring them on. Bring them on.
What the era that Pop played in? You know.
I don't know why we've made the terrorist sympathisers scouts, but
it's Carragher. It's Carragher.
Mussolini, you were through with City.
What the stats don't look? You put him up on the stats now, and they don't stand up against your Maos, against your Stalins. But back then, he was a solid genocider, Pol Pot. Well, that's as good as I can do with Cara.
You've got to look per capita.
If I could just zoom in there on Idiot Man's fridge.
I think like the state of punditry at the minute, because I think Jamie Carragher is one of the better pundits because I think he gets what being a fan is. I think like he did an analysis of Palace one night that was so spot on, where he's like, this is why Palace fans are frustrated. All these teams come up and have gone down, but at some point they've got Europe. And Palace are just kind of sat there and it's like, oh, we're going to stay up, but we're not going to push, and we got to stay up. And he goes, that's frustrating as a fan, and you just got it. But now, like, the level of that, they're just trying to get clips.
It's clickbait shit. It's turning into the Mark Goldbridgeification.
It's smart casual. As soon as they took the shirts and the ties and got rid of a desk and they started letting people wear them trainers and no socks on a telly, shackets, it started introducing a wild atmosphere, and they don't have any boundaries anymore.
That week, Daniel
Bring back Desmond Lynham.
Daniel Sturridge coming in and started doing the stanky lay and all that. Everyone was going, this is like, we're paying like £40 a month. What the fuck is this? And I love Michael Richards. I think Michael Richards is great at entertainment. But if you actually listen to what his analysis is, he just goes, it's going to come down to who wants it more. And you're like, what does that mean?
Well, it's like the overlap we're saying about the relegated teams. They should have put more effort in. Oh, yeah, nice one.
Yeah. There's no.
But I think that goes back to like the Arsenal fan thing, though. Of like the past sort of 10 years, that Arsenal fan TV has developed like sort of ingrained an opinion in a fan that has led to like what we're getting now with more mainstream like content, where it is just like deliberate takes that they don't believe in. But it means that it drives so much traffic to their channel that they've lost all consciousness.
Old school Arsenal fan TV, like that night we beat them 3-0 down at Selhurst, and Yannick Bolasie tweeted, it's Arsenal fan TV for me tonight. Yeah. But Arsenal fan TV is responsible for some of the greatest footballing culture moments of the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Like when does a dickhead blood? But first of all, Black Lives Matter, protect the NHS. You want a disgrace? one of the great moments. But I do think there's that, and there's the UFC kind of do a good thing where, look, Rogan. He's a good comment. The Rogan's there for like some entertainment value, but he knows what he's talking about, and he's been there for years, and he does add something to it. There's, they have to, because with the UFC they go, look, when it goes to the ground, most people don't know what the fuck's happening. That there's this fight for hand position, so they kind of explain. And I do think like during a game sometimes, I'm like, can you explain what I like the tactics of it. Why is this going on? Why is that substitution being made? What does that bring to it? And they don't really do that. And then you see like some of the American analysis, and it's so much more spot on.
Yeah, I think they have to be though as well because they've got a bit more of like an educating.
Yeah, they're
of job to do,
explaining it,
haven't they?
aren't they?
But that's what
That's what you still need though, because obviously no matter how much we all would like to think we know what we're talking about. At the end of the day, we don't do it. So
Yeah, and what all the commentators think they're known for nowadays, or is their niche, is what they're absolutely despised for. Like Sam Matterface and his descriptive, whimsical nonsense.
I'm still a fan of Drury going on some great tangents.
I love Drury.
I do like Drury.
About how Burnley going down is like the fall of Carthagena or something.
Yeah.
I do love all of that. I think Neville's good. I think Neville, just a good Neville, is one of the great.
Oh yeah.
I do. But also Arsenal fans that hate Gary Neville, they just go, he's biased. All they do is go, he's biased. He's on the commentary. He's going to slag off Arsenal.
Oh, yeah. The worst is like grown men. I understand when you're fucking 15, whatever, but like grown men who genuinely believe, it doesn't matter what club it is, grown men who genuinely believe that the pundits or whatever have an agenda against your thing. Yeah. What are you talking about, you fucking moron?
The conspiracy theory against your club. And it's like with the refereeing in football at the minute, right? It isn't great, like especially in the Premier League.
They don't have to do it anymore. They've got no job whatsoever because it's all monitored. Do you know what I mean? They don't even have to make like that decision last night with the penalty, and he booked Declan Rice, and then all of a sudden, no, don't worry, there's no penalty. You're not booked. Don't worry about it.
I thought Rice had given.
I thought they were giving it because there was hands involved, but then I don't know what is a penalty now. I genuinely don't.
Yeah,
I thought it's not a penalty in the proper game, but because he had his hands on him, I was like, well, it's a penalty then because that's what they give now. But then it wasn't a penalty, and it's all right.
Well, is there as well? Is there a thing of like? I think like the thing that they need to bring in is the stop clock.
Yeah,
keep the game at 45 minutes. But like PSG did that against Villa the other night. They just ran down the clock and they were wasting time. There's 3 minutes of added time. And like 1.5 minutes of the added time was fucking about. And you go, there needs to be, the ball's out of play, the ball's not in play, we stop the clock. I don't know why that's complicated.
Yeah,
I don't know why anyone watching the game doesn't go, why don't we just implement that? Why don't we
especially injury time, yeah.
Yeah.
And VAR, why don't you just bring the rule? Hey, it's taken over a minute. The original decision stands. It's taken too long.
I've been saying that I think even more like if it takes more than 30 seconds,
the original decision
stands.
I just think it shouldn't be used until it can eradicate human error, and it can't do that. So it's fucking pointless. Piss off.
But it's as well. It's just like this complication to everything. Like Watkins had a goal disallowed against us, and it was a fucking goal, and we stood in the ground for like 5 minutes waiting, and then like his knee was offside. And look, this is against my club. That's a goal.
Yeah.
Stand. We don't need to sit there for 5 minutes. You don't need to rob them of the celebration. The Villa van should be able to celebrate a goal. Watkins should be able to celebrate. He should have the goal. His knee was offside. We don't need to sit there for 5 minutes and decide this. Where VAR is useful is when Mateta gets fly kicked in the head and the game just continues, even though there's a concussion, which is meant to stop immediately. And then it took the ref. Like my dad went, they're not even going to give him a red. I went, I'm not worried about the red. I'm worried about Mateta. Like,
is he
out cold? He was just out. Like, and we have made a bit of a meal about it, like him doing a sit down interview about it and stuff. I was all like, all right, he didn't. This isn't. He hasn't recovered from cancer. He got kicked in the head. Like he can come. We don't need this.
Oh, fun. Fucking back from his long injury of a day.
2 weeks out. 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 1 week of which was international break.
Yeah.
Remember when John Terry got volleyed in the head at Wembley?
Oh, by Abu Diaby, what a player!
Yeah, that was arguably like
the people's left foot. Abu Diaby.
Like John Terry just like played the next game. Just, do you know what I mean? Like he's still wearing half a Kurt Angle's hairnet helmet. Do you know what I mean? Like Mateta, like he looks silly as half there.
Terry
They
just
always,
wasn't such a cunt. If he wasn't just such a cunt in it, he'd be like you'd remember him as like just he was a phenomenal player. But
I
he
think
was
I think it was the obviously the racism and the shagging his mates misses. But for me, one of the most shameful things he ever did was hawking NFTs. Um,
when and every podcast he goes on,
uh,
you know, like why you want to go? Why are you telling this story? Like that one where he talks about them kicking the reserve team out of first class and all of
oh
this
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
you're like, why would you go on this and tell that?
yeah.
Would you like? And
It
it's
just makes you look so out of touch and that.
and I think he just clearly just such a fucking arsehole of a person. That could be like a you know, he's all right. He was all right when he was on punditry, I thought, and stuff. But that's it. The punditry now, even that CBS show used to be great, but now it's just Henri trying to fuck. That's what the show is. And then
yeah.
It's a very
they often try and make a stereotype, don't they? After when somebody laughs, like, oh, we'll do that every single time. Then, like, okay,
and it's also it's kind of the like come to think of like the 24-hour news cycle was the worst thing to happen to news because you have to make a story of everything.
It's
It's kind
very,
of like
very.
you don't need an hour and a half build up before. I ended up on fucking BT Sport with Rio Ferdinand and
I
Joe.
watched that. Yeah,
I don't know why I was there. Why the fuck am I there? Why? What insight am I going to give to Man City Crystal Palace? I've never played to an okay standard. I don't really know what a false nine is. I say it, but I don't really know what it does. But like, why am I there? And I was there with like Joe Cole was really cool as well. He was like really nice guy. Rio, I didn't really chat to Rio at all, apart from like on screen, which I can understand. He had a whole fucking like morning of going around being a pundit. But it was such a like odd experience. You just stood there, and I just walked down to the ground. My payment was a ticket.
oh,
Which I was, I was like, that is pretty cool. But I was also like, aren't you like a multi-billion pound organisation? What the fuck? He just gave me a ticket. It was cool, and then went down and watched us lose to City, which was always going to happen. But yeah, like, why the fuck was it like?
Well,
why
football
speed on all of these things? Like
the football is like a much more like obviously relaxed vibe. I feel like that's what it like needs to be. Is just like, you know, a host, yourself, and another comic who's a big football fan. Just a little bit like, you know, I think when it's like forced.
Are you saying we should present Sky Sports, James? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying.
It was TNT. The football's on.
Yeah,
that was a fun show. That was a fun show to do. But they got into the controversy of it a little bit. I got a load of flack in it one time for something I said on it, which wasn't bad. I didn't say anything like crazy at all. I'm not going to say it because it will re-bring it back up. But
very wise.
I like got a load of like flack, and like it's always the things in comedy. It's always the things that you don't realize are going to get you that get you. And like my phone just started going, and I was with Andrew Mensah, who's like presents lots of stuff at the time, and I was going, like, mate, have you seen this? And he went, oh, you think that's bad? And he showed me the messages he gets, and I was like, oh wow, yours are just racist. Mine are just like, fuck you. Like his were like, and so the next time I was speaking to the people that football's on, I was like, man, you know, I'm so sorry that, and they were like, no, it's good because the clip went round. I was like, what? They were like, yeah, because like the clip goes round. And I was like, yeah, but everyone was saying that they hope I die. People were like, and like, yeah, and that's kind of like how they feel these things and how they think. Like, it's not, and I get it because online such a thing. So like, that's got to be a clip. That's got to go around, and it has ruined punditry because they're there. You know, like Roy Keane. Roy Keane. I think is a phenomenal pundit.
Yeah.
I think he's brilliant. But the amount of football, like they're doing the overlap, they're doing this, they're doing that, and they stick to football, and it's just There's so
God
much
forbid
of
they
it.
market to the bill payer. Do you know what I mean? Like they do like market to like the teenage audience, but like it's the dads watching Sky. It's the older, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think it's all going to. I think it's all going to come crashing down, at some point because
Premier League's gonna
everything's so no, but because like for dodgy stick and that's the way stuff's going. It's going like football will end up on like a Spotify streaming kind of method where it's like they're not no people aren't got the fucking money to pay for it anymore, so people will just demand.
Shouldn't have to pay for it. Like it's just ridiculous. But
Yeah, well, that was the thing. I remember, like, when I was like in year 8, you'd watch the Champions League on ITV. I'd
Yeah,
put it on
yeah.
when I was in bed, and you'd watch it, and everyone would go in and talk about the Champions League, and everyone was there. And that's where the dodgy stick is brilliant. I love watching a game with Chinese commentary. Yeah, I love watching a game and you just see, not that I have one, but I love watching a game where you just like.
There's nothing quite a goal going in. Hello.
Yeah. Arabic commentary is hands down the greatest.
Yeah.
Arabic commentary is hands down the greatest commentary there's ever been, and that is, we are behind on it. I think there is so many things within football that you go. I don't know how much longer I'm gonna watch football, which sounds crazy, but they're gonna bring the Super League back.
Yeah, they
But
will.
the reason the Super League didn't happen is because the Premier League went, hey, it's like the mob. You did that deal without us. So they utilised Sky, they utilised the fans, they got all the players were allowed to come out. The players are suddenly allowed to speak on political issues. If a player comes out, a player can't come out and be like, hey, there's stop being a genocide in Gaza. Suddenly it's like cut. Suddenly it's gone. But they
Hamza Chowdhury in that one at Leicester.
Like the minute he was showing a Palestine flag at the FA Cup, they cut from it. And now you have but then the minute the Super League happened, all the thing came together and everyone went, we beat the Super League. And that's like it's like this new Champions League format. It's people go, oh, it's a bit better, and you're like, it's not, because they've added loads of extra games, and every time, and there's nothing annoys me more in football than when someone who doesn't like work. The human body can only do so much, and when players go, hey, the schedule's too congested. That's why we're all getting injured all the time, because we're doing that. We're then playing internationals. We're then doing international tournaments. We're doing all of these things. We're not going to be able to keep doing this. Like, our bodies are breaking apart. And then everyone goes, "Oh, you're on 200 grand a week," and you go, "Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything if my leg has given out at 27, like my meniscus has just disappeared."
Yeah, because a bit like because a lot of the like. Yeah, well, there's more money in it than ever has been, especially at the top of the game. Like if you're playing for Ipswich, right, you're playing the same amount of games and all the stuff. Obviously, not playing Champions League stuff, but you're probably playing for if you play, you're playing for maybe a country, or you're playing a lot of fucking games anyway, and you're training every day and all that kind of stuff. Like if you're playing for Ipswich, it's the career money you're gonna make is, unless you know what I mean, if you at that kind of level, the money you're gonna make is not gonna last you for the rest of your life anyway.
No.
Not that maybe you say it's a lot more money than most people, and theoretically, but say you get 5 years of that and then you play in League 1 or 2 and you go for so it's like it's fundamentally unsustainable, isn't it, really?
I went to school with a guy who went, they should swap their wages with bin men.
Oh, fucking! Oh, we should pay soldiers. We should pay soldiers like footballers. Yeah, well, do you know what? I think it's easier being a soldier.
Yeah.
I think
once they televise it live.
You'd tune into that, wouldn't you?
You take a free kick, Lance Corporal. Can you fuck?
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's also, but I'm not. It's easier to be a soldier. You think about the amount of anyone could just walk into the army office.
Yeah.
Job. Not everyone's able to fucking.
Could you imagine the commentators on war coverage live on like
about someone stepping on a landmine?
Yeah.
Drury would be great on that, wouldn't he?
He's in terrible. they've gone over there and they've got beaten by a load of Afghani shepherds. It's not. It's not. They've got the best technology in the world, and they're getting beat by shepherds.
If I circle the shepherds,
Yeah, try to circle.
That sniper's just doing it. That sniper's just doing his job. It's just his job. Why is he getting?
Oh, well, that's some sort. I think that's all 4 of our careers potentially ended there.
That's quite. What a way to go out.
yes.
Sat in my living room with a leg injury.
Well worth it. Elliot, well, this has been a lovely chat, mate.
Thank you for having me on.
No,
mate. Welcome back anytime.
Absolutely, yeah.
You've got a special out, I believe, on the old YouTube.
Yeah, it's done quite well. So if anyone from this wants to go watch that, I'd be very grateful. And I'm on tour, especially kind of. I've just announced dates in Leeds, and I assume everyone who listens to this is Northern. I don't know why.
Simple folk.
Yeah. You lot won't have understand all of that la-di-da war stuff.
Yeah. Everybody, there is a southerner venturing north.
I'll do a joke about a pie in the show you can all enjoy.
Well, where are you on tour, mate? When are you there?
I am on tour. It's on my link tree. I'll be on tour in October, November. I'll be coming to Leeds, Manchester, Newcastle, places like that, and of course down south as well, Southampton and all those places. But yeah, thank you so much.
Have a pint when you're in Manchester. I'll keep you up till 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Mate, I'm absolutely up for that. I'm definitely up for that. I was in Manchester last weekend, and do you know what? You lot slagging off of the Northern Quarter is fucking unjustified.
Yeah, because you're from London. Yeah, that's why.
It's great.
I'll take you to some dingy boozers in fucking.
Yeah, I've been there, and you lot love to do this thing up north where you act like a pint's so much cheaper, and it's still £6.30.
Not anymore.
It's still £6.30. There's this great you just come up here, and it's a simpler way of life, and we have a pint and a chat, and it's like. Yeah, but it's still incredibly expensive. Well, there's this great. You have as many skyscrapers as London.
No, it's because of Keir Starmer. That's what. It's all them skyscrapers went up last year. We used to have red bricks.
Were you at Creatures in Manchester?
Yeah,
good gig, isn't it?
A lot of fun, man. That's what Evan and that's done at that club is fucking class. The Manchester comedy scene, though, it's like 4 gigs on the same road.
Oh yeah, it's insane.
Fucking
and everyone gets on and allows it. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's so good. Every city's comedy scene in the UK at the minute is fucking thriving.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure means that always kind of happens before a recession.
We've had Carrying the Boat's next tour show, mate. I will suggest the title: Elliot Steele, Recession Indicator.
It's going to be stopping the boats, mate. Fucking had enough of it. No,
I was thinking. I did think that. I thought it's a bit dangerously close in the air.
It was a bit. And then Rogan called his burning the boats, but I'd said I was doing that before. I was like, oh no, there's too many fucking right wing people on boats at the minute.
Oh, Elliot, this has been a pleasure, mate. Thank you very much.
Mate, yeah,
having us.
At Elliot Steele, you know how to Google things. You've got his name on there. You probably if you've watched an hour and whatever of this, you probably know all this anyway. But yeah, at the Cultures Pod, follow us. James, yep. anything to you do this wrap up shit? Don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, if you want to come and see me in Newcastle next week, it would this sort of.
This will be the week after that.
Yes.
Yeah. So, if you want to go back in time,
you wanted to see me. Unlucky. But yeah, just follow us at Cultures Pod and Twitter, TikTok,
everything.
Yeah, and we've got a Patreon as well. Get this a week early. You lucky.
Culture_ultras. I don't think you do because I don't think Mike uploads it for the 8 people who pay us £1. But
I'll have to get on that one. Shit, yeah. Give me some inspiration to
give us a reason to.
And the thumbnail for the YouTube video would just be whatever YouTube chose.
But yeah, thanks for listening again, and we'll catch you next week.
We will. Goodbye.
Bye.